Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to First Unitarian this morning. Let's begin this beautiful Sunday by standing as we're able and singing together. Please, will you join us?
That was peppy. Good morning. It's good to see you all here on this beautiful Sunday, this last Sunday of April. Whether you're here in person or joining us online, we're glad you're here. So, and if you're brand new today, and I think we have a lot of new visitors today, that's exciting. I want to personally welcome you, and I also want to invite you to the Welcome Circle. We meet right over there. There will be chairs when you get there. It's just a quick, informal way for you to meet some leaders in the church, ask some questions, and then we'll take you downstairs so you can get a cup of coffee and visit all the auction offerings today. So, seems like a good time for us to greet our neighbors. Whoops, there we go. And if you're lucky enough to be sitting next to someone new, invite them to the social hour or get them over to the Welcome Circle. Yep, there we go. Oh, they get one. There's a lot of energy here, and we have Mira here. She's going to help us light the chalice today. We are Unitarian Universalists. We light this chalice in faith, in hope, and in love.
Our call to worship are the words of covenant, one of the oldest covenants in Unitarian Universalism, written by James Villa Blake. And to all of the children of all ages, this tells you something about who we are as Unitarian Universalists. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Now, I want to talk about helping one another just a little bit, and we're going to sing about that in just a moment as our together time. So I have a question for anyone of any age. If I was carrying something really, really very heavy, and I'll mention that I happen also to be someone that has had some surgery on one of my arms, so it's even more difficult. Should I carry that really heavy thing all by myself? What do you think? Maybe all in unison? No, that's right, that's right. But a funny thing about adults, sometimes when we have something really heavy weighing on us, and honestly, a funny thing about teenagers and some children too, is that, sometimes something really difficult happens that might weigh really heavy on our minds and heavy on our hearts. And you know what we try to do, because maybe it is not a physical thing, there are things heavy enough that I cannot lift. We wind up trying to lift it all by ourselves. And so now I invite you in unison to say, should I do that? Should I lift a psychologically heavy, burdensome thing all by myself? What's the answer? But do we sometimes do that? So we have a sung spiritual practice, which is all about when we're carrying some of the heavy burdens of the world right now, or when we're carrying some personal heavy burdens, the song that Garrett is about to teach us is a reminder that none of us has to carry it all alone.
Good morning, everyone. So, this song you'll see up on the screen, "You Do Not Carry This All Alone." I want to take a second. First, let's look at this lyrics. There's 4 little bits of music in this one. And the words are, "You do not carry this all alone. No, you do not carry this all alone. This is way too big for you to carry this all on your own. So, you do not carry this all alone." I'd like to sing it for you once, and then we'll break it down, and I'll teach the parts to everyone today. So take a listen once. Let's do this key. This is a better key. Here you go. Take a listen. You do not carry this all alone. No, you do not carry this all alone. This is way too big for you to carry this all on your own. So you do not carry this all alone. And you don't need a piano to do this one at home, So friends, I want to teach you this one line at a time. The first line sounds like this. I'll sing it once, and you sing it back with me. Take a listen. You do not carry this all alone. Try with me. Ready? Here we go. You do not carry this all alone. Yeah, a little bit of space. Carry this all alone. Try that again. Ready? And go. You do not carry this all alone. Great. Now the second line is a little bit different. Take a listen to the second line. No, you do not carry this all alone. One note difference there. Start with no, you. Ready? And go. No, you do not those first two lines together. You do not. This is what it's like in a choir rehearsal. Come join. Beginning. Ready? And you. You do not carry this weight alone. Two. Ready? And no. No, you do not carry this different all alone. Great. Line 4 is the same, but take a listen to line 3. This is way too big for you to carry this all on your own. So you do not carry this all alone. Try line 3 with me. This is way, ready, and this is way too big for you to carry this all on your own. So you do not carry this all alone. Great. Can we try it all? Let's try it all. Good luck. And you do not carry this all alone. No, you do not carry this all alone. This is way too big for you to carry this all on your own. So you do not carry this all alone. Let's try it again. Ready? Here we go. You do not carry this all alone. No, you do not carry this all alone, all alone. This is way too big for you to carry this on your own. So you do not carry this all alone. One more time, and here we go. You do not carry this all alone, all alone. No, you do not carry this all alone, all alone. This is way too big for you to carry this all on your own. So you do not carry this all alone. Thanks, everyone.
So I want to teach everyone a song like that, and I loved the clapping because it really shows our joy at learning something new. And I also want to teach something else. Sometimes when we follow a ritual like lighting the chalice or singing a meaningful song like that, we really feel rise up the warmth and the connection of this community. And one of the tools that we have in our toolkit is this. I know some of you know it, is to respond like this. And that sometimes can keep a reverent moment or can keep that feeling of connection going. So, we have many tools in our spiritual toolkit now, including that song. And now it is the time for our children and our teachers to be sung off to their classes with a blessing. And if you're new, I invite you in the narthex. There will be someone to greet you and help you find your way. And of course, children are always welcome to stay with their parents in the sanctuary at any service throughout the service. But let us sing our children and teachers off to their classrooms now with As We Leave This Friendly Place. I want to invite our new Committee on Right Relations to make their way forward as we in the congregation are sharing in a responsive reading together. In Troubled Times by Stephen Schick. From the loneliness of troubled times we come to discover that we are not alone. Into the dwelling place of togetherness we come to collect remnants of hope. From fear that all is lost we come to discover what will save us. Into the comfort of each other's arms we come to feel the strength that has not yet vanished. From darkness we come to wait until our eyes begin to see. Into the refuge of fading dreams we come to remove illusions and focus on new visions. From despair that walks alone we come to travel together. Into the dwelling place of generations we come to pledge allegiance to being peace and doing justice. And you can pass that. In this month of transformation, we are delighted to announce the launch of our new Committee on Right Relations. This can be a clap. The members who have agreed to serve, yes. The members who have agreed to serve are the following: Lauren McNeil and Terry Martin are co-chairs, Cindy McEnroe, Deborah Murray, and Lena Lee. Let us commission these new leaders and let us give them all of our blessings and support. Lauren, Terry, Cindy, Deborah, and Lena, may you be guided in your work by the covenants we hold with one another and with Unitarian Universalists all around the country. The 8 principles of our congregation, which are found in our bylaws, our behavioral covenant, which you can see online or when you go out into the narthex, is just on the wall to my left and your right. And the 6 values centered in love, justice, equity, transformation, pluralism, interdependence, and generosity, which we lift up with all the UUs in this land. So let us, as the congregation, charge our new leaders. We charge you to be tenders of the covenant, to be coaches for healthy communications, to foster safe practices, and to help us transform conflict. Do you willingly take up this charge?
We do.
Wonderful. We affirm your calling to this ministry and promise to join your efforts to weave together the strands of our separate lives into a tapestry of strength, beauty, and wholeness.
We thank you for your faith in us and vow to do our best to live up to the charge you have given us. We promise also to remember that the ultimate responsibility for our church lies with all of us, for this is our shared beloved community. May we all do what we can to make it a spiritual home we can be proud of.
And we continue all of our efforts to govern ourselves. I would like to invite Eloise Eccles and Pierre Provost to come forward, and they are members of our nominating committee.
Hello, I'm Eloise Eccles.
And I'm Pierre Provost.
We are co-chairs of your nominating committee, tasked with recruiting leadership for our church on the Board of Trustees and on the nominating committee itself.
This year we have 3 nominees for the Board of Trustees and 3 nominees for the nominating committee. Each of these nominees for both the board and for the nominating committee will be having on the ballot for 3-year terms. And the nominees who are present today, would you please stand as your name is called?
Board of Trustees nominees are Tony Obst, Laura McKinney, and Roger Tobin. Roger was elected last year to complete the term of an early departing board member. He will be on the ballot this year to serve a regular 3-year term.
And the nominating committee nominees are Randy Russell, Kent Connaughton, and Chris Brewster. Thanks. We have them over here.
These church members offer their time and talent to serve us in these leadership positions. Please support them on the spring ballot this year.
Great. And thank you, nominees, and thank you, members who have served the church in these critical leadership positions. If you are a current or if you are a past member of the church board or the nominating committee, would you please stand? And so we can recognize you.
All right, so we have a few announcements today. This Tuesday evening, First Unitarian continues the conversation from our Sewell lecture on AI's role in both oppression and liberation with the next Rumble on the River. This discussion will focus on data centers in Oregon and their real impacts on communities and environment. A panel of advocates, tribal leaders, environmental experts, and policy voices will explore what this means for Oregon's future. Doors will open at 5:30 for tabling and connecting with panel organizations before the program begins. We hope to see you there. And Community for Earth is sponsoring a mini Earth Day for families after the service today, next door in the Buchan Atrium. There will be a seedling giveaway, education about single-use plastics, and earth-friendly treats. And we hope to see you there today. Don't forget to check out the offerings that our church auction fundraiser to support our roof. So, I'm reading this all wrong, so sorry. The auction's taking place for the second weekend down in Fuller Hall. You can buy pies from the Alliance, books from Reverend Tom, a raffle ticket, roof tiles, and more. So there is something for everyone, and we want to keep what our slogan this year is bid high and keep dry. Okay. And I want to make sure I'm doing this right. In April, our offerings support the PCUN, Oregon Farm Workers Union, which empowers farm workers and Latinx families through community and building, civic engagement, and advocacy. PCUN is also part of organizing May Day Without an Immigrant, which is this May 1st. Our Shared Plate supports this effort, and you can also join congregants for a rally and meet at Elliott Chapel at 2:30 on May 1st to march together. And I just want to mention that this church year, we're focusing on plate offerings with organizations and coalitions which First Unitarian collaborates with directly. And you can make a donation through the green cards. You'll find it in the seat backs. Also, ushers will be by to collect donations in that form too. We make space each week to hold the joys and sorrows and transitions of our members and friends. You can send milestones you wish to have us share aloud during the service via a form at firstunitarianportland.org/pastoralcare. Others are more private prayers, which you can share by lighting a candle in the north or the south gallery with a prayer of intention. And you can leave those there, or you can also file those on the form I mentioned above. Your lay ministers and ministers will receive them and pray with you throughout the week. Longtime member Diane Gutman died on March 29th at the age of 86. Diane died from complications from an infection following a hip replacement surgery. Diane joined the church in 2004 and was active in our adult education programs. She was also known for her quilts. She is survived by her partner, Jim Kennedy, and daughters Carolyn Gutman Day and Sarah Silva. A memorial is planned for Diane on June 21st at 1:30 p.m. at the Multnomah Arts Center. And Theo Harper and Becky Kihlstrom would like to announce their 50th anniversary on April 25th, 2026. That does deserve it. Through highs and lows, good times and bad, they share, and I quote, "We have managed to continue to love one another and treat one another with respect." And I offer this prayer. We gather in gratitude for the tapestry of our shared journey, woven with joy, sorrow, hope, and love. We honor beloved members whose presence once filled this space with wisdom, laughter, and quiet strength. We celebrate enduring love, 50 years of shared days, storms weathered, and joys held together. May such devotion inspire us to cherish one another. And we hold this wounded, wondrous earth in our hearts, its oceans, its skies, and living beauty, and renew our promise to protect and walk gently upon it. We give thanks for generosity, for open hands and hearts that sustain this community and the wider world. In loss and celebration, grief and gratitude, may we remember we belong to one another and that love is the greatest calling. Amen. So let's take a few moments for silent meditation. Please join me as we sing our doxology. A reading from The Price of a Ticket, James Baldwin. One must say yes to life and embrace it whenever it is found, and it is found in terrible places. Nevertheless, there it is. For nothing is fixed forever, and forever, and forever. It is not fixed. The earth is always shifting, the light is always changing, and the sea does not cease to grind down the rock. Generations do not cease to be born, and we are responsible to them because they are the only witnesses they have. The sea rises, the light falls, lovers cling to each other, and children cling to us. The moment we cease to hold each other, the moment we break faith with one another, and the sea engulfs us, and the light goes out.
The bells create such a reverent and joyful spirit here. Thank you for being with us this morning. There is an ancient story, one of those that has a number of retellings, that Thich Nhat Hanh was fond of telling and contains a particular Buddhist sense of how we might weave through change in our lives. Let me share it anew with you with some fresh details. There was once a farmer who had a magnificent prize-winning stallion. The farmer planned to sell him to a wealthy business person for a large profit. But 1 week before the horse was to be sold, a hurricane swept through the farmer's land. It tore down the barn where the horse was kept, and that stallion ran off. The neighbors came over to see if everyone was okay. They knew his plans and saw that his prized animal was lost. And they said, "What terrible bad luck." "Good luck? Bad luck? Who knows? We'll have to see," said the farmer. The next week, the farmer saw 4 horses galloping towards the farm. It was their stallion leading 3 horses behind him. "What incredible good luck," said the neighbors who were over helping him rebuild the barn. "Now you will have a horse to sell and new horses to help you plow the fields more efficiently." "Good luck? Bad luck? Who knows? We'll have to see," said the farmer. Soon the farmer and his son were training the new horses. One day, the son was thrown by one of the horses and broke both of his legs. The farmer's wife was very upset. "My only son, we never should have let these horses in. This is incredible bad luck." "Good luck? Bad luck? Who knows? We'll have to see," said the farmer. The next week, soldiers came to the farm. Their king declared war, and the soldiers were drafting every young man in town. After seeing that the farmer's son had 2 broken legs, the soldiers left him at home. Now, in all the other residents' homes in town who had sons of the right age, there were tearful goodbyes, wondering if they would ever see one another again. Later in the day, the neighbors were over at the farmer's house and saw that his son was still home. "What incredible good luck you have." And the farmer said, "Good luck? Bad luck? Who knows? We'll have to see." At its simplest, this is a story about change as a constant in our lives. The farmer's family and his neighbors' families experience that nothing stays the same. Our circumstances will change. The people in our lives will come and go over time. And even what all these changes will ultimately mean to us and for us can change over time. What is so striking about the farmer is his ability to meet fate with such equanimity. As my UU colleague, the Reverend Karen Herring, writes about times of change or threshold times and about the practice of equanimity in Buddhism, quote, "We are advised to notice and name our threshold gifts and losses and our responses to them without assuming that they will lead in one direction or another." Many of us may feel more like the spouse or the neighbors in this story. We may not be able to meet changes, especially trials or big losses, in that way. We may exclaim, "What terrible bad luck we have," even if we have also experienced a series of joys in our lives. Grief touches grief. I hear that in the exclamation of the wife, or the neighbors in the story. In the moment that we experience a new loss, all the other losses, especially unprocessed losses, will come up for us. If you have ever lost a job, you know this. If you have ever been seriously ill, you know this. If you have ever lost a loved one, you know this. And if you have ever had an injury or surgery, you know this. The places of trauma and loss in our past may be felt once again in a new period of loss, trial, or challenge. When the neighbors share tearful goodbyes with their sons, it is because they have directly or indirectly experienced war and conflict. Trauma and loss are already a part of their story, the one they carry with them across this new threshold. They may have fought themselves and lost the people they were serving alongside of. They may have a parent or grandparent who never returned from war quite the same. They may carry the stories of ancestors or neighbors' ancestors who did not survive, whether they were soldiers or civilians. They may carry the silence of untold, unspeakable stories, which sometimes carry with them an even greater amount of pain and suffering. Who among us, in this room or online, when we went to war so senselessly with Iran, doesn't carry in our bodies the fear of loss of our nation's children and their nation's children, even as we might also carry the hope that the harm won't be as bad as we fear, or the hope that something creative, something we might call positive, could flow and will flow on the other side of violence. As Karen Herring puts it, change echoes. When we experience change on a personal level, its disturbances will bounce back from changes happening on shared community or global levels, amplifying the changes we encounter. And the reverse is true. It's interesting that in the story, the farmer even meets seemingly good luck with equanimity. I mean, having 3 horses show up alongside the one you lost, I think that would be pretty exciting, like maybe winning the lottery or something. But it turns out that even winning the lottery is a change that can bring up grief and some challenges. And I know you might say, Reverend Alison, bring me those challenges. But if you read the life stories of winners, some portion have reported a complete sense of loss of their identity, stress from friends and family who put pressure on them, and a litany of becoming targets of scammers who are sometimes clever and successful and wipe them out. This might be a time to announce that no, I did not send you the email this week that a lot of you reported to me. I will never ask for money or gift cards, and I also won't quote probably from the Bible or say I cannot speak with you because I'm in a very important meeting. So, my scammer announcement. But it makes sense that lottery winners would become targets. As a pastor, I have learned that even through positive changes, we experience grief. When we are changed by an experience, we are no longer the same. We do mourn the identity of who we were before the change, even if we eagerly embrace the new possibility. When a youth leaves the home of their childhood, they may relish the arrival to the next place and all that waits for them there. Yet they may find that they miss their room, their family, their favorite recipes, and more. When people are becoming parents, they may be very excited to welcome that new child into the world. However, they may also want to experience some of their favorite pastimes one last time before the baby is born, knowing that it will be different and they will be different the next time. When people share that they are retiring, I always try to remember to take a breath before offering congratulations, knowing that they may also be about to say, I'm actually experiencing a lot of grief about this at the moment, even if they wanted to retire. Navigating change means navigating grief. And here, a reminder of the 5 stages as described by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, the famous Swiss psychiatrist. The stages are denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. And it's also important that to remember we never move through these stages linearly. We go back and forth and around these thresholds for a while. The idea that we can move directly to acceptance or forcing ourselves to move directly to acceptance without moving through these steps may be denial, unless you are as perfect as the farmer. In some ways, each step is a teacher about the preciousness of what we have lost and what we may hope to find or to cultivate in our lives on the other side. Anger, for example, isn't something to just get over. It may be an aspect of non-acceptance that helps us to identify injustice and the need to seed just change rather than passively experiencing repeated, unnecessary, or unfair loss. We had no control over the fact that a pandemic would lead to loss of life, but by paying attention to anger, to disproportionate losses that hit vulnerable communities, we could identify changes we wish to make in our medical system and more. If you are going through a season of change that brings grief, I invite you to pause at each threshold of denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance, and to pay attention. What are you learning in that space about how you want to lead your life? Was there a time when you stayed in the depression phase for longer than other changes? Is this such a time? Maybe it was because you needed or need help. As we sang earlier, you do not have to carry this on your own. Sometimes asking for help in a time of change, especially if you're experiencing a devastating loss for the first time, helps us to move across the threshold of accepting that we are human and in need of relationships of care, love, respect, mentoring, accountability, encouragement, and that we can provide the same for others. None of us would be here without the support of neighbors and family. Remember that story. The farmer, his wife, his child, and the neighbors rebuilding that barn together after the storm. Karen Herring writes, "We need the gifts of companioning on the threshold. We need others' observations to widen our perspective, their gifts to supplement our own abilities, and their assistance to help us cross thresholds that will be too high, too terrifying, or too bewildering to traverse on our own." As people of faith, we often speak about the importance of loving our neighbor. But this is only possible in a world where we allow our neighbors to love us. Remember, at this village here at First Unitarian Portland is one source of those neighbors. And our lay ministers are a wonderful example of people you could reach out to for help. One thing in the farmer's story that is quite literal about change is that there are times when change shows up in our body. The farmer's son's legs are broken when he trains the wild horses, and the impact on his body is clear. However, less clear and present is what his parents may be feeling when he is injured, or the neighbors when their sons are drafted, or what the farmer is feeling in his body when something joyful occurs. Where in your body do you feel stress, anxiety, and grief? Do you ignore it? Do you pay attention to it? When something happens that is counter to the values and principles that I have learned to cherish among Unitarian Universalists, that appears in my gut. When something happens that elicits fear, I feel it in the region of my heart. People's responses to fear are often described as fight, flight, fawn, or freeze. I tend to experience these as obstacles to the way forward, to what I long to do, be, or become. When we connect with what we long to do, be, or become, we are talking about our calling or vocation. And I also feel that in the region of my heart. If I couldn't overcome the fear, the obstacle that sits here, of whether I would ever be good enough to serve as a minister, I would not have found the courage to go to divinity school. I have found listening to things that I feel in the region of my heart are often a matter of calling. You may feel fear somewhere else. That's okay. We are all different. What is key here is that we learn to pay attention to what our bodies may be telling us about this season of change and where we might move next. Awareness of our body's responses to change can provide us with the wisdom about the support we need, or about the obstacles we are facing, or something else. And I'll say, some Unitarian Universalists, I'm sure none of you, experience most of life in their head and forget that they are embodied people. So here's a quiz. No, don't worry if you don't have a place to point. Where do you feel stress and anxiety? Point somewhere on your body. Pay attention to when it arrives there. And if you don't know the spot, maybe that's something to discover. Karen Herring writes, change is embodied. Listening to our body's wisdom will unlock a vast storehouse of internal guidance for living well with change. This includes the body's messages of pain, as well as its capacities for healing, joy, and resilience. We are embodied humans, body, mind, and many would say spirit or soul as well. Let us turn back once more to the striking feature of our farmer, his ability to meet both joy and sorrow with equanimity and seemingly with immediacy. Remember, this is a parable, and so he represents a possibility, maybe even an ideal in certain circumstances, yet not what we could, should, or would achieve with every change in our lives. Here is some of the truth I take from this story. Meet change and therefore uncertainty with a spirit of uncertainty. Human beings have a tendency to predict that if the worst should happen to us, whatever we define the worst as being, that we won't be able to handle it. Professor in psychology Jelena Kekmanovic from Georgetown University writes that we have what she calls faulty affective forecasting. When confronted with the unknown, we tend to picture the worst outcome and exaggerate how devastating it will be. Contrary to what the online world often suggests, most people are remarkably resilient even in the face of trauma and loss. How did the farmer reach a place of such open-heartedness and depth of perspective? And how might we do the same? First, likely he's had practice and possibly cultivated time to practice change. Time and repetition. That is, in many ways, the definition of a spiritual practice. While something might be devastating at first, that very same loss may become the doorway to new positive possibilities. We might never have chosen that loss, but we can choose our responses to that loss over time. The first response might be experiencing terrible grief, but later responses might be changing the conditions that led to harm, if it was harm that led to grief. The next time we experience a loss, we will have the practice of having gotten through a challenging change before. But we can also practice making changes, the ones that we hope to create, and navigating through the uncertainty that yields. What small changes could you experiment with? Which this is very important since the phone is going off. What small changes can you experiment with that might help you hone the tools of how to cope when things don't work out as you planned? And I'll just mention, that phone reminds me of this. If you're my age or younger, you might never have arrived in a new city without GPS. Who is that true for? It's true for some of us. That could be a lovely way to experiment with uncertainty. You could look at a map, you could practice getting somewhere, and if you mess up, you still have your GPS to help you. But you will have coped with it. The farmer was surrounded by family and neighbors who showed up for him and shared the stories of their own lives. How can we each cultivate people in our lives who we count on as our relations, who can help us broaden our perspectives? Finally, the farmer invites us into wakeful living without certitude, inertia, or judgment, says Karen Herring. His story challenges the notion that it's just the way things are. In the end, if we know that anything is possible, then everything is possible, and we can move forward with imagination, resilience, and hope that the beloved community that we seek is at hand. If we clasp hands with others and plant the seeds that will yield good fruits on our farm. Now, not every tree will make it to flower and fruit. We can't know what our luck will be, but some orchards of gladness will be there with our children and our neighbors' children climbing their branches if we stay open to finding out what will happen. Good luck, bad luck, who knows? We'll see. Amen, and blessed be, and may it be so, friends. And one more spiritual tool. Do you know if you're feeling the light, you can do this, like you're a light of the chalice. See? There you go. We have lots of things. And now in our going, may the light of love bless us and keep us. May it shine down upon us. May it be gracious unto us. May it fashion each and every one of us into farmers who have the courage to plant wisely for the generations ahead. For this is the day that you and I are given. So let us rejoice in it and be glad. Go in peace, practice love. Amen.